Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, Dave. Bit of a nail biter tonight, but I thought in the end the Devils probably deserved the 2 points. How did you feel?
Oh, I don't know about that. The Oilers got goalied, I thought, in the end.
They maybe got goalied in the last 15 minutes, but I thought New Jersey was the better team for 45 minutes tonight, didn't you?
That is true, but maybe I'm not giving New Jersey credit. I just put that down to the Oilers stinking.
Well, they did that for a good chunk of the game. I'll agree with you there.
Oilers-centric view of the game that I have, which is fairly typical of me. Maybe
what is with these guys in starts? I mean, honest to God, it's been this way all season.
What is with winning 3 in a row? What is that? Is this the 10th time?
Yeah, and they're still I think they and St. Louis are the only 2 teams in the league who haven't done it.
And they can't get above, they're below real 500 again. They've managed to crawl below. This is a really good team right now. And they just can't put 3 wins in a row.
Yeah. And to be fair, I guess, they've run into a couple of good goaltending performances, like a tremendous performance by Sorokin and quite a good performance by Jake Allen tonight, I think I would call it. It wasn't quite Sorokin-like, but still good, right? So shots were 13-3 in the third period. So
yeah. The grade A shots, 14-10 for the Oilers, with the subset of 5 alarm shots, 8-6. But the Oilers had 8 of their 14 grade A shots in the third period. 8 of their 14 grade A shots, and 5 of their 5 alarm shots were in the third period, 5 in a row. Hyman, Podkolzin, Hyman, and McDavid, and none of them scored.
Thought Hyman was snake bit tonight.
He feels the same way.
Right.
He's gonna get some. What do they when you get bit by some serum when you get bit by a snake?
Anyway. Yeah, and then the Devils, in the second to back on the road, it's this is a team they were 5 points out of a playoff spot. You need to beat this team. They're a good team, but you need to beat them in a situation like that, and they didn't. So they still got some things to figure out.
Kurt, 2 good things. 2 bad things and 2 numbers in Edmonton's 2-1 loss to the New Jersey Devils. What is your good thing?
I'll take Tristan Jarry, who is making his 300th NHL start and his very first at home as an Edmonton Oiler tonight. And on balance, I thought he was the best Oiler on the ice tonight, and probably the only reason it was a close game come the third period. I thought after that just rancid second period by the Oilers, I thought it easily could have been 3 or 4-1 Devils had it not been for Jake Allen. You know what? He made an excellent kick save early on Pesce. That was about 2/3 of the way through the first period. He made another strong stop on Mercer toward the end of the first. He got a piece of the 1-0, but you know what? That was a one-timer after a pass out from the corner, so I didn't fault him on that. He had no chance at all on the 2-on-1, which I know we'll get to. The play I really want to focus in on, though, is with the game 2-1. Cody Glass goes in on a 2-on-1 and just rips it high glove, and Tristan Jarry absolutely robs him with a 90s glove and roll save that kept his team in it. The last thing I wrote in Tristan Jarry's paragraph tonight, he got a 7 by the way, was gave Edmonton a chance to win, which is all you really ask your goaltender to do night in and night out, and I thought Jarry did that.
Did you give him a 7 or an 8?
I gave him a 7.
Okay, because it could have been, probably a 7's the right call.
Yeah, allowed to.
There wasn't that much action, but there was a few huge saves.
Yeah, so, stopped 15-17, so it's not like he faced a barrage, right? So,
yeah, I thought he was good, and that save was spectacular. Yeah, the first one, it's a bang play.
It is,
and. Why no one went to the shooter on that play is just, Roslovic and Frederick and Nuge. They're all kind of
Yeah.
shooter
I
adjacent.
Yeah, I thought Nugent Hopkins. I very rare will I criticize Ryan Nugent Hopkins on the defensive side of the puck, but I thought he made two poor reads on that play.
Yeah,
One in the slot, then he went to the corner when there was no need for him to go to the corner. And yeah, Frederick is late to that shooter, but Frederick was out on his man at the point. He moved in because Nugent Hopkins vacated the middle of the ice. So
I agree that Frederick and Roslovic, for instance, might have made a play, but it was really Nuge's man. It was really Nuge's or Roslovic. Frederick maybe. Anyway, it was just so frustrating that he just cruised up Main Street and
yeah.
plowed it right in the net.
Hmm.
And it's a tough play for the goalie because it's on the boards, and then bam, it's in like it's
Yeah,
on.
for sure.
And then the next one was even tougher. Third, my good thing, Jake Walman.
Hmm.
Outside of the big line, so the Oilers, as I said, had 14 grade A shots. The big line, the big line players, let's say Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman, Ekholm, and Bouchard, they were out. They were in on 11 of the 14, one or the other.
Doesn't
And the
surprise
other
me.
guys, as a group, mustered just 3.
Hmm.
But 2 of those came off the stick of Jake Walman. Hard shots from Jake Walman, including the goal that went in off Savoy. And I just really like Jake Walman's direct play in this game. He can be a force out there when he's on his game, and he's finally healthy. Like, I don't think he was ever that healthy when he came back the first time. I can't remember what was ailing him.
I agree. Yeah.
But he looks healthy now. He looks like he did in the playoffs, and he is a really good hockey player. Going way back, he reminds me of a player who played for the Montreal Canadiens, Guy Lapointe, who was a very direct hockey player, good shot, hard shot, forceful. Not spectacular, but just direct, forceful, highly effective.
I watched Lapointe play a lot of hockey. I don't disagree with that comparison. Obviously, Lapointe's a Hall of Famer, but in terms of what kind of a player they are, yeah, I buy that.
Stylistically.
Yes.
And he's not as great a player as Guy Lapointe was. Guy Lapointe was one of the, he was one of the top 5 Canadian defensemen of the 70s.
But they certainly share similar attributes, right?
They do. And Walman has just come into his own late in his career, interestingly. But he is playing at a very high level last year in the playoffs. And it's very good news for the Oilers, Kurt, if Jake Walman is playing at a very high level again now, because they missed that early in the year. And they missed him first out of the lineup. And then when he came back, he was not any good. And then he got hurt again. And here he is playing really, really solid hockey. And it's going to be interesting to see. They might decide to go with Nurse and Walman as a pairing at this point. They've slow walked Walman back into the lineup, playing him with Stastny. Very good idea. I think he's ready for more than that. And it'll be interesting to see if Nurse and Walman can have some chemistry or not. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen. Go ahead.
I've seen Walman better in successive games now, right?
Yeah.
Ever since he's come back from injury. Yeah, every game, and I graded him a 7 tonight. He was just robbed in the power play in the second period. Like that was a good shot, right? Most nights that goes in.
Yeah, I forgot about that one as I was reviewing his game. Like that was his best. That was his most exciting play. Man, there was a number of shots like that where I thought, oh, they've scored. They've scored.
Yeah.
There was at least 5 shots where I thought, Kurt, they've scored, and none of them scored. Right.
Well, Walman 5-on-5 is really good. High dangers. 5-on-5 was 7-4-2 against. So it's.
He was strong defensively. He's carrying Stastny at this point, and
yeah, he is.
Unfortunately, Stastny. Listen, and on the downside of this, Kurt, is, and I'm going to sneak in an early bad thing because I have a different bad thing, but I was pretty disappointed. Like, I know, like, we all have high expectations for players like Savoy and Howard and Frederick, and to some extent, even the fourth line guys, Janmark, Lazar, and Frederick, and none of those guys came through tonight. Like, I know Savoy scored the goal, and it went off. That was great, but man, they're not creating. They're not They didn't create much on the attack. They've got to do more. And maybe it was because the whole team was discombobulated with Podkolzin being out so long, and then already being down a forward, and the lines are all mixed up, and they weren't in their usual rolling the lines to the extent that they ever do roll the lines in Edmonton kind of format, and that might have confused or upset the rhythm of the players. But they've got to bring more. Howard and Savoy won't be in the lineup in the playoffs if they don't start bringing more, is what I'm going to say, because they're smaller players and they've got to find a way. And Mangiapane's in this group, obviously, as well. They've got to find a way to add to the attack. And they didn't succeed tonight, except for Savoy's goal, which was a good outside shot that went in the net. It was a Californian.
I got to say, I think you're being a little hard on both of them. One, the Podkolzin thing threw everything up in the air, but also remember they were playing 11 and 7, so they didn't have a regular center. So there was different centers rotating in with them. That's tough. Plus, I got to say, when I look at my notes, like Ike Howard, like he had the secondary assist on the 1-1 goal. It was a nice pass off the face-off. He made a really nice pass into Hyman on the power play for a chance. He beat out an icing in the third period. He was one of only 3 Oilers who were plus on the night. And Savoy scored. So I don't disagree with you that you need offense from those guys. And yeah, they could have used more from them tonight, but I didn't see them as bad. And I guess that's not what you were saying either.
No, I want to see. I want to see production, Kurt. It's like, and they weren't. I'm not saying they were bad. I want to see, and so they did score a goal.
Yeah, Savoy scored and Howard got an assist. So I guess you and I view it a little differently.
Yes. There was nothing from anyone else in the third period except for that top line, really. And it was just frustrating me that get something going. And I'm talking about Janmark and Lazar too, and everyone.
Well, Janmark was red rotten tonight.
And Frederick, get it going. Make something happen, you guys. Are you just counting on this top line to win it for you? That's when I got frustrated, Kurt, in the third, when none of these other lines are doing squat.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
see, if that's your overall point, I buy that, because they're really, it was pretty thin pickings in the third period. Most of it came from that 5-man unit. That I agree with. But there's guys like Frederick had the one good back check, but otherwise it was really a fall off from a run of pretty good games he'd had. Janmark was red rotten 5-on-5 tonight. Like he could have stayed at home and no one would have missed him tonight. And I like Matthias Janmark, but that wasn't. He just didn't have it tonight. So I guess I'll half agree with you. How's that?
Well, now that I've clarified. But I think, your point is well taken that maybe earlier on it was okay. But Matthias Janmark has 1 goal again this year after scoring 2 last year. I mean, I like him too. This is,
On one hand, you say, well, he ain't Doug Jarvis. Well, Doug Jarvis would score 20 goals in a season. So, Doug Jarvis, what an underrated player he was. Everybody talks about the consecutive game streak he had, but he was a terrific hockey player.
Okay. Just remind me at the end of this, Kurt, I want to talk about the Oilers trades situation heading into the deadline a little bit.
Okay.
Right at the end.
Yep.
Okay. Bad thing.
What's your bad thing? I want to talk about the 2 and 10 that Vasily Podkolzin got. So the hit on McDavid was high. If you don't want to call that a penalty, I guess you don't want to call that a penalty. I think it's highly debatable that it wasn't a call.
Like elbowing.
Yeah. I loved, let me emphasize again, loved Vasily Podkolzin's response. Because the best player on the ice takes a high hit, and the first thing he does before he even takes a breath is he goes straight for the guy. They drop their mitts and they let her fly. Everybody in the rink, everybody on the bench, everybody watching at home was thrilled, because there's Vasily Podkolzin sticking up for his star teammate. What could be better than that? Well, according to the NHL, a lot. It just kicks my butt, this rule, I tell you. It's just, This rule, David, is so that guys don't get jumped. right? That's what the instigator rule is for. It was born in the 70s when J. Bob Kelly and Gary Dornhofer and those guys and Bob Van Imp would jump other guys from behind. And in that spirit, the rule was a good idea because you don't want that crap in the game. All this was one player sticking up for a teammate on a high hit that the official already missed. And oh, by the way, the guy that he fought dropped his gloves at exactly the same time. Now, I don't argue with the 10 because it's automatic. The referees, they don't have any discretion there.
If there's an instigator, it's a 10 as well?
It's a 2 and 10 with the instigator. So as I understand it, they don't have any discretion there, so fine. I don't even really blame the referees because I'm sure this has come on, down from on high. But surely to God there can be discretion with this rule because otherwise it's a mamby-pamby rule, and once again, it's an example of the National Hockey League not sticking up for its best players. Now, it's all fine and good if someone takes liberties with Connor McDavid. In fact, we'll penalize your guy if he tries to even things up on the ice. It's just weak-kneed, piss-poor pond hockey rules, and it needs to change. Other than that, I was fine with it.
We should have a segment on this show, Picks My Butt.
Picks my butt. I graded Vasily Podkolzin an extra full mark for taking that fight tonight.
That expression's right out of Saskatchewan in the 1970s. It's
yes. Kind of belies where I came from, doesn't it? I could say Bunny Hug and Vico, and you'd be even more convinced of where I was born.
I agree. It was ridiculous. Like, listen, you'd think that they understand he's standing up for the best player, like who got a semi-dirty hit, and he's standing up for him. It's like the rest you'd think, yeah, that's justice, right? Even though Podkolzin did pick the fight, he went right at the guy.
Yeah,
but
he didn't jump him from behind.
Both dropped their gloves at the same time, and someone I don't know. I didn't go back and look, but someone said that the New Jersey players' gloves hit the ice first. Like it was simultaneous. They both wanted to fight, and just 5-5. That would have been great. That would have been a huge boost to the Oilers because it really did screw them up. That whole thing with Podkolzin, it screwed up their lines.
But still the right thing to do, right? And I know you agree with that. At the end of the day, it's two grown men. Let them fight, and the league should grow some balls. Honest to God.
Vasily Podkolzin, superstar folk hero of Edmonton. He is becoming a much loved Oiler, like fanatically admired and adored by Oilers fans.
What were the Vancouver Canucks thinking?
And it's all the better because we can say that every time we praise him.
Every time. You can be sure. I don't even need to make a note.
I wonder if in Vancouver they say it though.
It's brought up. Trust me. Oh yeah. It's a sore point.
Were they tired of him by the time they got rid of him? Like, weren't they tired of Podkolzin?
No, Canucks fans get tired of players, and then they're angry when they play better somewhere else.
I think very Canucky. You should never do that. Like, if you were okay with him being traded, like Stuart Skinner, for instance, I was good with the trade. I'm not going to, like, years later attack management for trading Stuart Skinner because I thought he needed to go. So, like, I think if any fan
needed to change the scenery,
he needed to go, shouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good for Vasily. Good for Vasily. The league should really remember that this is a physical game.
Yeah, and he sure plays it that way, man.
He sure does. Love him.
He is hard as a tank. Okay, my bad thing, Kurt. This does pick my butt.
Good.
It is something that I hate more than any other play in hockey. And that is the bad line change that leads to an odd man rush and a goal against. So it's Darnell Nurse this time, and he's at the bench, near the bench of the other team. He's about maybe 10 feet from the Oilers bench, just above the blue line, the Oilers blue line. And he and Glass start going at each other, and they get all entangled. And like, Nurse is pissed off. He's being held up, and like, I understand. In the heat of battle, he's ticked off, and there's this back and forth. Meanwhile, the play's gone down to New Jersey's end. They have full possession of the puck. full possession of the puck for at least 2 seconds as Nurse is battling with glass. And all Nurse has to do is realize, however this ends up with glass, I got to get back on defense because this is no time to change. They have, as I said, full possession of the puck, and they pass it up, and they get in on a 2-on-1, and they score. And it's because Nurse, after battling with glass, instead of sticking with glass, who scores the goal, he decides he's going to go to the bench. He doesn't look. He is unaware of the situation on the ice. He has lost track. He has lost his head, essentially, as a professional hockey player, and become so caught up in his personal battle, and he just then, I'm going off the ice. It is a rookie mistake. It is not acceptable for a veteran hockey player. It would get a rookie benched. Should have got Nurse benched. And it cost them the game because that's the 2-1 goal. So, yeah, I didn't like that at all. And it's not acceptable from Darnell Nurse, who has been playing. He was playing better. The last little, the last little bit, according to both our game grades and the numbers that I keep on grade A shots, he's been trending down a little bit. So he's got to get back. He's got to reset again and get back to that simple physical game, and where he makes good decisions on the ice. It's a big thing for Nurse, and that wasn't one of them.
Yeah. What really bugged me about that, and by the sounds of it bugged you too, is it was a mental mistake, pure and simple. Like,
Yeah.
I can often live with physical mistakes because it's a game and there's two sides and there's lots of skilled players on each end. Like, you're gonna make mistakes, and sometimes you'll make a play perfectly and still get beat. Like, that happens, right? These are the best players in the world. But that was extremely poor awareness of where the puck was on the ice when he decided to make the change. Overall, I thought he was decent this game, like a couple big hits on Hughes and Meyer in the third period. But that big mental mistake handed New Jersey the eventual game winner. And all you had to do was pick your head up and take a look out into the neutral zone before you decided whether or not you were going to change. Period.
Yeah.
End of
Why
sentence.
didn't that happen, Kurt?
No.
What's that all about?
I cannot explain it.
He has been in the NHL for like, what, 800 games now? Like, let me just check here.
I failed him for that. I gave him a 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though, like, I agree, like, without that play, he might have been a 6, right?
Yep,
like,
he might have. But that was like an egregious error.
Yeah.
He should hang his head for that one.
Darnell Nurse has now played 767 regular season NHL games.
Yeah, like if Spencer Stastny makes that mistake, it's the same mistake, but you go, well, he's finding his way. Darnell Nurse should have found his way by now.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen to a veteran player like that. It just
not that. I can accept physical errors; they happen. There's two teams out there battling. This wasn't that.
Agreed. Kurt, your number.
17. The New Jersey Devils have now won 17 games this season and lost none when leading after 2 periods. 17-0.
Lucky.
A little bit of both, probably.
Jack Michaels said that after the second period, and I was thinking, all right, Jack. This time you've laid the Jack jinx on the other team, not on the Oilers. Thank goodness.
I love it when Jack gets in there and pitches, hey?
That was a heavy Jack jinx. That was as heavy a Jack jinx as I've heard. The Devils are 16-0 heading into the third period with a lead. I thought, yes,
that'll do
win this game. But not to be. The Oilers did get the first 8 grade A shots of the third, and 5 of them were 5 alarm shots. So it came close, but Jack's voodoo did not work tonight.
Well, that save that Jarry made, the Oilers had the previous 11 shots in the game prior to that save on the 2-on-1.
Yeah.
I just realized, David,
tough loss.
I'm sorry, this is off topic, but I just realized in the hockey cards behind you, Guy Lapointe's on that wall.
He is.
It's like, what are the odds? Yeah. Well, the only guy in focus is Guy.
Yeah.
but that's why I can see them.
I move my head. Sometimes other guys go in focus.
They
I don't
come
know.
in and out of focus. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I just
Brad Park
realized,
right behind
oh,
my head
there's
there.
Guy. It's mustache Guy. It's that era of Guy.
He was a fantastic hockey player.
He was. Yes. Underrated because he was on the same team as Savard and Robinson, right? But
Yes. But like a big player in the 1972 win, right?
oh
Like
yeah.
him and
Yeah.
Savard were huge.
Yeah.
Brad Park was huge. Bill White.
Yeah. Number one
Pat
defenseman
Stapleton.
on any other team in the NHL in that era, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're rated the greatest team of all time in the NHL by their former coach.
I guess not any other because that was the Bobby Orr era, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And Park. There was Park and Orr, and then for a
Everybody
while,
else, yeah.
and then yeah. That Habs team was such a great hockey team. I was a Habs fan in the 70s, so.
I wasn't, but I admired them.
Were you a Bruins fan?
Well, no. People always think that. I was a Bobby Orr fan. I wasn't a Boston Bruins
You
fan.
have that Bobby Orr thing on your wall there.
And I was a massive, and still am a massive Bobby Orr fan. He was my hockey hero.
A Leafs fan, Kurt?
Well, I was when I was really young, right? Because that's the game you got just about every Saturday night. And my dad, long before there was television, my dad grew up listening to the Leavs, as he used to call them on radio, right? So our whole family were Leafs fans, and when Tiger Williams got drafted by the Leafs, you see, my cousin Brent and Tiger were teammates on the Swift Current Broncos. Cool. Brent went on to be a Philadelphia Flyer, and Dave of course played for the Leafs, so we knew Tiger like personally. So it was easy for us to cheer for the Leafs. But then when the merger happened in 1979, we became Oilers fans. So.
One of the most unforgettable playoff series I've ever seen in my life was the Leafs beating the New York Islanders, and it was either 77 or 78.
Yeah. And
it was fantastic. Like, it was such an upset, and I think Roger Neilson was the coach, and it was very dramatic. And
Daryl Sittler, Lanny McDonald, Boreas Salming.
I think they had traded for Dan Maloney that year too. Yeah. It was kind of their Trent Frederick. He was a little disappointing.
Yeah. And Mike Palmatier, right?
They had Palmatier, Salming, Turnbull.
Ian Turnbull.
Yeah.
Another underrated NHL defenseman.
Yeah, he was a pretty good player.
He was.
Yeah.
Harold Ballard screwed at that properly.
Well, he screwed up the Leafs by refusing to pay the players who went to the WHA. They lost a lot of talented players.
He screwed up that team multiple times.
Yeah, they lost Davey Keon,
Jim McKinney.
Yeah, to the WHA. Kurt, my number is 8.1. So in the last 3 seasons before this season, starting in 22-23, Connor McDavid chipped in on 6.9 grade A shots per game in 22-23, 6.8 grade A shots per game last 23-24, 6.4 grade A shots per game last year. So he's always in that 6 range. This year, Kurt, so far he's chipped in on 8.1 grade A shots per game.
Is that all? Wow.
Like I thought the number would be higher, like let's say 7.2, 7.3, like it would be better than his 6.9, which was the year he broke out as a scorer, and that was his big point scoring year, the 6.9. This year he's at 8.1 grade A shots per game. He's chipping in on either making a big pass or a shot, and that is like out of this world good. Last year Leon Draisaitl was at 6.8. So this year, McDavid's at 8.1, Draisaitl's at 6.5, Hyman 5.1, Nuge 4.2, and Bouchard 3.9. He's just, and the funny thing is, for someone with 85 points, when you're chipping in on that many grade A shots per game, he's had a little bit of bad puck luck in terms of putting up points. You might expect him to have 10 more points, let's say, on that many contributions to grade A shots. So he is just he's on another planet, even compared to what he's done before. I mean, I think he reached this level in the 93 playoffs, the year they beat the Flames. 93. They just ran over the Flames. He was just so unreal. It was the first year that he went supernova in the playoffs.
You don't mean 93.
Excuse me, 23.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thanks, Kurt. The 2023 playoffs. It was the first year he went supernova in the playoffs, and he's done it at times in the playoffs, but it's just been 3 months of it now that he's been this way. And I wonder what his numbers are in the last 2 months. I didn't break that out.
Right, because he's started a bit slow, right? So
it might be closer to like 9 or 10
yeah.
in the last month.
So I'm intrigued after Bouchard. My guess would be Roslovic would be next. Who is?
Yeah, I just updated the top 5 after the game.
Okay.
But previous to that, it was Roslovic. He was at about 3.3. And then
who I thought was decent tonight.
He's looking okay. Like he's
better on the wing, right? He's not a 3C, right? So
he's Jack Roslovic, and I think we know his game now, right?
Yep.
He is not a strong defensive player.
Nope.
He's not a great forechecker.
Yep.
He's okay on defense, kind of, but he's really, really good with the puck.
Very.
And he's got great hands and a pretty good shot.
Really slippery.
So, and it looks like a bit of a streaky scorer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he might come up big in the playoffs. If he's in the right situation, if they get him on the right line in the playoffs, and I don't know what that line's going to be. Maybe it's going to be with McDavid and Hyman. They might, if they do move Nuge to third line center. And if they can't trade for a center, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll be it. So
interesting.
Kurt, let's talk about just a little bit of trade talk. And you mentioned the other night, and I hadn't thought about this, and I didn't know his name was being bandied about, but Jamie Oleksiak from Dallas.
Right.
So I did a post on it. Frank Saravalli brought it up that he thinks Oleksiak will be moved at the deadline. And when you look at it, it makes sense for Seattle to do so.
Mm-hmm.
They're not winning the Stanley Cup. His contract's over. They've scratched him one game. They've got 7 other D-men they can play. But for a Stanley Cup contender, he's worth probably a second round draft pick. I'm gonna say.
What, he's 6'7"?
I don't think it's gonna be a third. I think it'll be a second.
Yeah.
And maybe even something else if you want them to. Obviously, something else if you're going to have them eat some salary as well. And I just think so. I'm thinking this, Kurt, that with Kasperi Kapanen, and now that we know that he'll be back sooner than later,
maybe the weekend,
keep playing this way. I'm not sure. Like all along, we've been thinking. Well, first we thought it would be a goalie, then they shook things up in net, and then everyone like. The word from Bob Stauffer has been, well, they can't trade for a center. They're going to trade for a top 9 forward, though, for a winger. And I'm starting to think, like, who's he going to replace in the lineup with Kapanen playing so well? And all these other players that you have, you've got, I think, 12 decent candidates for the top 9, if you include Frederick, Savoy, and Howard. There's just lots, and there's just lots of players who can play in the top 9 on the Oilers. And I'm just not seeing necessarily that that's going to be the number one need. But I am starting to think the big need is going to be on defense. They're going to need someone to play with Emberson on the third pairing. And they don't have a lot of cap space to fool around with anyway, unless they can trade Mangiapane. So I like the idea of Oleksiak. He's exactly what they need.
Yeah.
So good suggestion, Kurt.
Thank you, and I'm glad to hear that Frank was on a similar wavelength. I just think they need a big defender back there who can. He's not a bruiser per se, but he's really strong with his stick. He can break up the cycle. He's a solid first pass guy. He's also Canadian, so he'd want to come to this market. There'd be no problem there. And I'm just not seeing enough out of either Regula or Stastny to think that they are playoff ready. I think Ty Emberson, who I thought was average tonight, but has been really quite good lately. I'm starting to think, okay, if Emberson's on my third pairing for the playoffs this year, I'm pretty okay with that. But who is he with? And well, he can't be with Jake Walman, because I think when Jake Walman is up and running, he needs to be in your top 4. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I completely we're on the same wavelength here. Do you agree with me on the forwards that there seems to be like I think they could bring in another fourth. They need to bring in another forward, but I see it more as a fourth line energy player, like a big, like, tough guy who can win some battles along the wall and provide some depth to be like a fourth line, like a Max Jones plus kind of player for the fourth line, and then a big third pairing defenseman.
Well, you and I agree on the defenseman, so let's talk about the
Yeah,
forward. Um, I think what they really need is they need a third line center, a big right hand shot third line center who can win draws, kill penalties, be heavy. But I get it. There ain't a bucket full of them around, and they're not cheap, and that's probably what our friend Bob is referring to, right? So if you
yeah.
ask me what they need, well, I think they need a three center because I think they'd be better if they left Nugent Hopkins up with McDavid. But if that's really out of their price range, well, there's no question a winger will be more affordable for sure. So then if you decide, okay, the decision is Nugent Hopkins is going to move to 3C, well then yeah, for like $1 million or something less, you can probably bring in a winger. Um, but I think if you're really going to go for it, you need to bring in a winger who is better than who you already got. And I think if you're just bringing in a fourth line guy, that's I don't think that's going to win you a Stanley Cup. I think at the very least you need to bring in a middle six guy. Ideally, I think you need to bring in another top six guy. And I agree with you on this point. He needs to have some edge. And I don't mean a guy who will play with a chip on his shoulder like Andrew Mangiapane does sometimes. I mean a guy who's 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds, likes the heavy going, in a full season might score 20 goals. In It kind of feels like I'm describing, Evander Kane, um, right?
It does
Uh,
actually.
I've watched enough Evander Kane this year to tell you that he's a shadow of his former self, and
He
he
is a
he would not fit the bill anymore. And as you know, I was a fan of Evander Kane while he was in Edmonton, and thought he did a very good job here. The fact of the matter is, Vasily Podkolzin is that player now. Like he's got a real shot at scoring 20 goals this year, and that's the exact type of player I think you need to bring in. I think you need to bring in a strong winger who can score a goal and is good in the rough going.
well. That's what I see Kapanen doing. The issue is this, Kurt. Like, let's they can't really do anything if they don't trade Mangiapane. Like they have such
Yep,
limited cap space.
yep.
They're just if they can't bring in Alexiak, for instance, if they don't trade Mangiapane. He's
Hmm.
going to be, I think he earns like 4.5 or something like that, or 4.8. So he's going to be, if Seattle retains half, he's still 2.4. So they need, without moving out Mangiapane's 3.6 million, they can't bring in a forward, a good forward, or a good defenseman. I think the primary need, I guess here's what I'm saying, is the primary need to me is a defenseman. And because of Kapanen's strong play and Roslovic coming on strong, I think that just going to have to, they're not going to have the money to make more than one big move, and I think that might be for that on defense is my point. And then you just left it forward, bringing in a depth guy to help out because you've made your big move on defense. Now, if they can get a third pairing defenseman inexpensively, not Alexiak, like an Alexiak like player for, let's say, 1 million or 1.5 million, then yeah, maybe if they move Mangiapane, then they can get a, a winger who makes 4 million a year and have the other team eat half of it, and that would work too.
Yep, it would.
Um,
Mangiapane's 3.6, by the way.
yeah, 3.6. So it's gonna be it's gonna be it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's
Well,
gonna be interesting to see what Stan Bowman can conjure up, because this team is good enough to win the Stanley Cup. And it's funny to say that for a team that is one game under 500, but in the last 2 months they've been playing great hockey, good to great hockey, and they've got suddenly some pretty good looking goaltenders there, and I'm kind of optimistic. So we'll see what they add. It'll be interesting. I'm convinced they need another defenseman who can step up and help out this team.
Well, the 5 teams in the Pacific that are in the playoffs right now, 2 of them, Vegas and San Jose, just made themselves considerably better this week.
They
And
did.
right, so it's over to you, Stan Bowman. Like it's you can't let these guys out chess you on the chessboard leading up to the Olympic break and the deadline. You have to feel like you've come out ahead of those teams in terms of your manpower. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that after the Olympic break, Adam Henrique will come back. And so that'll be a part of the whole equation as well in terms of A, where does he play? And B, even though he has a no move clause, does something shake loose there? This is where I say, and you've heard me say this 100 times, David, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And while, yes, true, I agree that they're tight to the cap now, there is always a way.
If it's apparent to Henrique that he's going to have a hard time getting in the lineup, and let's say he wants to play another year, get another contract with another team, it would be advantageous for him to move at that point. But he might decide, this is it. I would just want to stick with this team. And even though it's going to be hard to get in the lineup, I want to try to win the Stanley Cup with this team and hang out here. And it's his decision. He's got a no movement clause. So
yeah, and look, Adam Henrique is still a useful NHL player. He's just not the same player that you got from San Jose.
He might be more useful than, let's say, Matthias Janmark in the
past. I said San Jose. We got him from Anaheim, but yeah. So yeah, he's fallen off, but he's still a useful player. Here's the real issue I have with Adam Henrique, is right now his skills are kind of duplicated by Curtis Lazar.
They really are. So and he's not a third line center.
Not anymore.
And no, he is not. And the Oilers,
a good fourth line center, but so is Lazar, and Henrique makes a lot more money, right? So the plot thickens.
That's an interesting idea. It would take Henrique wanting to be open to be moved on, and you just never know about that. But
there's also a hockey trade.
Well, there's so many guys, Kurt, there's only a few guys that don't have no movement clauses.
It's true.
It's hard to make hockey trades.
It's true, and a couple of the guys that
making a hockey trade with Evan Bouchard or Matthias Ekholm, because they're the 2 guys that don't have no trade or no movement.
But you're not trading either one of those guys. Yeah, no, I agree.
And everybody else, they're not making a hockey trade with Podkolzin. Yep. So yeah, it's just such a small list of people that are unprotected for that kind of move. So.
And look, I'm not suggesting this, but you could also move a goaltender.
You could also move a goaltender. Highly unlikely. You finally have 2 guys who look like they can play. Mm-hmm. That would be interesting. Let's put it that way. If they were one of those guys moved, but as you say, you never know. You're right, Kurt. It's time for Stan Bowman to get creative.
And this is where he earns his bucks, right?
Give him credit. Like we could be, we can say this, get creative, Stan, like you loser. But he made great trades. He made some great trades this year for Tristan Jarry and the signing of Connor Ingram. Like those were great moves.
And bringing in Roslovic.
And yeah, there were some moves that didn't work out at all. But there's been some moves that have really worked out. So
yeah, the summer not so much, but in season's been good.
Indeed. I just hope one of these young guys comes through, one of the young forwards. Like
Don't stink like they did tonight, right, Dave?
Just start meshing, start making plays. Now, some people will say they should have put Howard on the power play, for instance. And I actually agree with that. I think that would have been interesting to have him on that in Draisaitl's spot.
Well, the one shift he had on the power play, he set up Hyman for a grade A chance.
I think Ike Howard has all kinds of offensive game, and he is ready to break out. And I do think he needs to be given a time, like give him some time. Let's say they move Nuge to the third line. Well, how about Nuge and Roslovic and someone else on the third line for a while, and put Howard in one of those in the top 6 for a while. See how he does. Like, I'm not convinced Matt Savoy's offensive game is at that level where he can play at that level. I don't think, right now it's not.
That's fair. I see him as more of a middle 6 player anyway. So yeah. I think I'm with you on that, Dave.
But Howard, he's got a shot. He's got passing. He's got offensive smarts.
I could
I'd
see
like to
him
see
scoring
get a
30 some year.
Yeah, and I hope it's with the Oilers. We'll see what happens.
Me too.
And if not, Howard Hudson. Like, there's a couple different options, and be nice to see them try them out. But we'll see what happens next. Kurt, we can just go on and on here. So, any final thoughts?
I could talk about the 2 and 10 some more.
Alrighty. Kurt, thanks for talking tonight.
It was fun. Thanks, David.
And thanks to the wisest, smartest, sanest hockey fans in the world, Edmonton Oilers fans.
And they were mad at the call, too.
And in the meantime, they're mad. And they're really mad. They were so mad people weren't full of their usual praise on X on social media about Podkolzin fighting. They were just so burning mad about him getting those penalties. That's all they could talk about in the moment. And in the meantime, and in between time, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.